New York handed over to a federal agency which was studying the structural collapse of the towers. But it's unclear how this video came to be posted online. In Western Canada, an explosion and a fire at a gas well have injured at least 14 people. The blast took place at a site near the town of Edson in the province of Alberta. 2 of the injured people were airlifted to hospital. The contractors were working at a facility owned and operated by Husky Energy. Now, the U.S. President Barack Obama has given the order for military trials to restart at Guantanamo Bay Prison in Cuba. This appears to be the latest acknowledgement that the U.S.-run detention center is going to stay open for some time. John Terrett reports.
Just after he took office, President Obama promised to keep a campaign pledge and close Guantanamo within 1 year.
It is a rallying cry for our enemies. It sets back the willingness of our allies to work with us in fighting an enemy that operates in scores of countries. By any measure, the cost of keeping it open far exceed the complications involved in closing it.
Obama also stopped the controversial Bush-era military trial system and promised a full review. Now, 2 years on, Guantanamo's still open and the military trials are back. The White House says it's made the system fairer, but critics see it as a return to square one.
The ironic aspect of this is that President Bush established this kind of review mechanism. President Obama set up this kind of a mechanism when he took office, and now this is the 3rd iteration. I have no reason to believe that this new system is going to be any better than the 2 systems that it has already replaced.
The issue of what to do about Guantanamo Bay has dogged Obama's presidency from the beginning. His political opponents and some of those in his own party have blocked his efforts. The White House wanted to move and try some detainees in U.S. courts, but Congress made that impossible. Obama has also found it hard to find countries willing to take those released from Guantanamo, and his administration now says some prisoners will just stay locked up without trial indefinitely. Now that the review into detention policy at Guantanamo Bay has been completed, charges are expected soon for at least 3 detainees who were charged under the Bush administration and who've been deemed eligible to stand trial, but whose cases were dropped in 2009 so the review could take place. John Terrett, AlJazeera, Washington.
Well, they flew into Libya in the dead of night, but a secret mission by British special forces, apparently in an attempt to meet the rebels, ended in embarrassment. Details coming up. Also, Côte d'Ivoire's troubles are far from over. We meet the men who say they will die to keep Laurent Gbagbo as president.
Hello, we've got more very wet weather making its way into southern parts of Australia, just squeezing that moisture out of the tropics, and it's sinking its way further south. Some parts here could see around 150 millimetres of rainfall over the next 24 to 48 hours. So that will bring with it the risk of flooding, and that flooding rain could well also ease its way into that western side of Victoria. There we go with the heavy rain through central parts. To the east of that, it's fine and dry, 27 Celsius for Sydney and for Brisbane, 32 degrees there for Perth. Again, it stays fine and dry. Now we move on into the middle part of the week, and that wet weather, as you can see, diving its way down into Victoria by this stage. The high pressure, which has been keeping it dry here, is easing a little further eastwards across New Zealand. So the weather for New Zealand, at least, should start to cheer up. It's still quite breezy as we go on through much of Tuesday. A keen southwesterly wind coming in. So temperatures at around 16 Celsius, pushing up towards 19 degrees. But there you go. Winds falling lighter. A lovely day to come as we go on through Wednesday. Further north, there's quite a rash of showers through Vanuatu, through Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, seeing the heaviest of the showers through Southeast Asia. Crop of showers there a little further northwards into Malaysia, but for many it will be fine and dry, but turning wetter for Thailand.
Leaders are remembered, be they loved or feared. Alone they are inscribed on the pages of history. But what of the men and women whose hands build their monuments and whose blood stains their battlefields? The people who, against all odds, wield the power to reshape history. People in power at this time on AlJazeera.
Hello again. The latest developments in the battle for Libya now. Anti-Gaddafi forces are calling for international help in their fight against the government. Meanwhile, in the west of the country, close to the capital Tripoli, the rebels have lost control of AlJazeera, and we understand they're also losing advantage in a number of other cities. President Barack Obama says Washington and its allies are still considering a military response to the crisis in Libya, and the Gulf Arab leaders have called for a UN-enforced no-fly zone. Meanwhile, AlJazeera has learned that the British citizens released by Libyan rebels on Sunday exchanged gunfire with the people they say they came to help. 8 British nationals, including a diplomat and members of the special forces, were captured soon after they landed in eastern Libya. Now, that incident has been a big embarrassment for the British government. Alan Fisher has more on the fallout in London.
Arriving back in Malta, the failed British Special Forces mission to Libya. In the UK Parliament, the Foreign Minister said it was all a misunderstanding.
Last week, I authorised the dispatch of a small British diplomatic team to eastern Libya in uncertain circumstances which we judge required their protection, to build on these initial contacts and to assess the scope for closer diplomatic dialogue. I pay tribute to that team. They were withdrawn yesterday after a serious misunderstanding about their role, leading to their temporary detention.
A helicopter carrying 6 Special Forces soldiers, an officer from the MI6 intelligence service, a spy by another name, and 1 diplomat landed in Salouche, several kilometres from Benghazi. With guns, explosives and fake passports in their bags, they were quickly detained by locals.
8 people were arrested, and it turned out that they carried British passports. The reason that they were arrested is that they entered the country illegally and without permission, authorisation or prior arrangement with the Libyan authorities. Libya is an independent nation. Therefore, our sovereignty and our borders should be respected by everybody.
The UK's ambassador to Libya, currently in London, then had to call rebel leaders to explain what was going on, a conversation which surfaced on Libyan state TV.
We try to interfere, saying those people are coming to helping us.
Yes,
Yes.
Their idea is they're a group who are just coming to find out where our mission will stay and how they will operate to do the logistics, and then we will send the officials in consultation with you next week.
I think the intentions are perfectly fair. What they're trying to achieve is fine, but of course it is an embarrassment in the way it portrayed itself, first of all, to the rebels in the east, and secondly, actually, to the government in the west. We sort of lose face on both sides.
This is a huge embarrassment for the British government. Special forces are highly regarded, but this is one incident that won't get a great write-up in their history. It's also a propaganda victory for Colonel Gaddafi and the Libyan government. He's been saying for a while that there are foreign influences among the protesters, that